This is not formal by any means, not live at all. So if we go on tangents, I can edit things out, and uh, I can
Okay,
always just not go live if it goes off the rails. But
perfect.
to go back to answer this question real fast, am I a comic creator or a graphic novelist? It- So it most comic creators or people that make comic books th- consider themselves separate from graphic novelists. It's kind of like in there's two worlds. There are people that who who are artists who are also writers, and they make kind of their own stories that usually turn into either comic strips or a graphic novel. And you'll find those people call themselves graphic novelists, but they are also artists. They're not just writers. For those that just write graphic novels, I don't know. Most of the time, they just call themselves authors. And then they hire artists to create a graphic novel. I've never really met someone that's like, I'm a graphic novelist who doesn't know how to draw, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And in a general sense, graphic novels go directly to bookstores, whereas comic books go directly to comic shops. And there's a lot of gray area where it's in between, but most of my work goes to comic shops, and it's released as comic books in a series that are eventually released as what they call trade paperbacks, which can also be called graphic novels because the graphic novels then are sold in bookstores. So if I'm talking to someone that knows nothing about comic books and but knows a lot about, let's just say, film or something like that, or I'll say, yeah, I write graphic novels. For somebody that's already in the industry that makes independent comic books or something, they would be like, we're kind of like, what do you mean you're a graphic novelist? And then as far as the difference between a writer and a creator, that's sort of a gray area to where most of the time, if you say you're a comic creator, it's kind of the same thing where you do both. You are the writer and the artist, but sometimes there's writers that are also artists, but they're not as good at, let's say, artwork. So they're primarily an artist, or are primarily a writer, but
Okay.
they'll sometimes do artwork for some people, but maybe not as a high professional level, or vice versa. Someone's a great artist, but not a great writer, and they'll write their own kind of thing that they might self publish, but they might be known as an artist on Marvel and DC or something like that. And someone who's a combined, they might call themselves a comic creator rather than I'm a comic artist or a comic writer or something, just to combine to be both. I'm a creator. At the same time, a creator is actually a title. So it's almost so in the same sense, if you're a writer and you hire an artist, you are the creator of the IP and you hired out the artist, and you as the creator credit basically means you own the IP of those characters and so on,
Interesting.
unless the artist also owns part of that IP, and then you call yourselves co-creators. So if someone sees that credit as co-created by writer so and so, co-created by artist so and so, that means that they collectively own the IP together. Whereas if I'm the just the writer, I might call myself the creator of the series or the creator owner of the IP because no one wants to say owner. It
Yeah.
just doesn't look right, I guess, on or something like that. It's kind of strange, and that's kind of why I have this whole channel. Is because those that are in this industry as writers or artists or both, or don't even know what they are, they just make art and they're just trying to tell stories. They don't know the ins and outs of the business side of this whole thing, especially like what does it mean to be a graphic novelist or something like that, and how does it affect my career, so to speak, or what should I be striving for as a young person straight out of high school? What actually makes money? What does it mean? Things like that. No one really teaches you because it's not really something you learned in school, I guess. And then even whenever you're in the industry, everything's broken up and everybody's kind of compartmentalized to where they do their one little thing for one. It's just like any other industry to where everybody is kind of niche to their own aspect, and unless you're in it doing it, no one's going to tell you what to do. You just kind of figure it out for yourself.
I really like what you said, and we see that with authors all the time that you set out to share a story. You want to share your art or your story. You're not thinking so much about, okay, how do I market this? How do I turn this into a business? A lot of times that comes after your art is created, after the story is kind of in you and you're sharing it. And that's kind of where, I really appreciate your channel too, because you do delve into those topics. How do you market your graphic novel? What's the difference between comics and graphic novels? Just piecing those out and trying to get a better understanding of what you're working with and actually how to use it is so important.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I guess all right, let's back up to the beginning. And from what I know of who you are and what your company is, so I used Book Award Pro starting this year as a graphic novelist, and I know you as the owner, founder, I guess executive CEO, whatever your actual title is of Book Award Pro. Now, I found Book Award Pro by watching YouTube channels, and you were on, I don't even remember whose you're on, but it was just one of those where I'm looking up what are best ways to market as an independent author kind of things, and then your program came up. I used it, and it worked, I guess, so to speak. Um, but as far as anything about you as a person, I know nothing. So I know a little bit about a Book Award Pro, because I've used it, and it's basically, from my perspective, it's a platform that allows you to upload a title or a book that you have or any kind of work as an author, and then once it's uploaded on the site, you then can kind of filter through what like actual legitimate awards and sort of editorials and people that review books in the categories of a book that you created. So and then you basically like allow us to like pick and choose, like, do I want to submit to any of these? And then you kind of make it easy to where if you want to, you can take that on as a service, where you then submit everything for us. So it's kind of like one click and done. Um, and then it seems like, and this is what I wanted to get into today, is like you're doing more beyond that. It's as if kind of that's step one into what could ultimately be a long series of services for people to kind of help market your stuff. And the questions that we'll get into is I wanted to know, like, from your perspective, is like, what do you expect an author to do with your platform? Like, how do you expect someone to market their books in today's age, and how does your tool kind of help us do that? And then yeah, get into your career and how you got started into that, and then where you're going next. And I will let you take it from there as far as which one of those you want to answer first.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for the introduction. I guess at the heart of Book Award Pro is book awards. And when I was really, really young, even in grade school, I would actually track book awards because they were so important to me, especially as a young reader. The Newbery Honor Medal and the Caldecott Medal were um, just so important to me. I always wanted to know when would the newest winners be released and when could I get my hands on those books. So I would ask my teachers and librarians and my mom to help me figure all that out. And I say all that because I've just had this passion for awards since I was really young. On the professional side of awards, something that I didn't understand as a reader is that to get your book in front of an award program can kind of be a tedious process. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of time and research. So when I was starting out in my career, I actually worked in a university press. And that was a really interesting kind of slant in publishing because university press books are just a little bit different. So part of my role was helping those books get into award programs. Even when I graduated college, I left that job. I continued to follow book awards because I wanted to see what awards are out there, what books are winning these awards, just what does that look like? What does that look like as a reader? I'm immensely interested in award winning literature. And so that was kind of how Book Award Pro came to be. It was just very organic over time. Publishers, publicists, authors would hear about this kind of this interest that I had in awards, and they would ask, "Well, what's out there for my book?" And the truth is, there's so many awards out there. There are thousands out there that there is something for your book, but the trick is to figure out what's a good fit, what suits your budget, what's active and available for your book. So that's how Book Award Pro got started. It's very much consultancy based. And these days, it's actually, Max, you already touched on this, but it's AI powered. So our service will, you can upload a book to Book Award Pro, and our system will be able to show you and on an ongoing basis what awards, what reviews are out there for your book. We're really proud to operate the world's largest database of legitimate reviews and awards. And as of this recording, we're actually monitoring more than 10,000 accolades in our system. So there's lots and lots of opportunities out there, lots of opportunities for graphic novelists, comic creators, you name it.
Awesome. Thank you. If you don't, this might be diving too much into the tech world, but
Yeah.
how did you go from idea out of college to actually building this platform? Did you create the website? Did you get to go through an agency? Did you have a partner with somebody that knew any of this? Or how'd you go from zero to having this successful platform?
That's a fantastic question because I'm actually not the technology experience or expertise on our team. When I was running things on my own, it was a very crufty process. It was very, very heavily manual, which I loved it, but it was very heavy. So in in the early days of Book Award Pro, when I was doing consulting work for authors, I had a co-founder, I had a connection, someone who knew technology, who knew how to architect technology systems. And he would watch my process and say, you know what? There's a better way to do this. There's a more effective and more efficient way to do this that would ultimately do better for authors. So over time, that's originally how I brought on my technology co-founder. And just over the years, we've refined and grown what that process looks like, how we maintain things, and how kind of what the trajectory looks like, so to speak.
Okay, got so you basically started as a consulting service and you were manually basically finding these things for authors that like came to you and were like, what award program would be best for me? And you probably had like, since you were in that world, you kind of knew offhand a lot, maybe had the research backed up and then just solve those problems. But eventually you had a partner, somebody that was tech savvy that was like, we can automate this. I know how to do it.
That's exactly right. And in fact, I would even say, as excited as I still am, but um, I was so excited about the research component of awards. But the truth is, that's the part where everyone stagnates. Authors, publishers, publicists have a really hard time sorting through all those details because every accolade is totally different. So, for example, your publication date matters, your page count matters, your copyright date matters, your word count matters. All of these small details matter. And to look at your book and take time to figure out what's out there. Awards are outdated. The due date's passed. There's nothing fresh out there for you. It can be a really tedious process. And so the beauty of technology is that it actually does a more effective, efficient process than I ever did just doing it manually, because I can't know 10,000 different accolades, but the system does. Our AI knows that and will be able to actually deliver matches to you that are active and available right now, not something that should be on your horizon 2 years from now or
Yeah,
2 years
yeah.
ago, for that matter.
No, I gotcha. Yeah, it is like that you're taking a lot of data inputs and having to solve through a lot of algorithms, I guess, so to speak. And to manually do that would be it's super tedious. That's actually kind of where I am at right now. It's not like super extreme, but I'm in this weird world to where I do coaching and consulting for comic creators and graphic novelists. But I'm at right to where I can't take on too much because it's just not worth it. It's kind of like it's not enough to take away my full-time job to try to do this full time, but it's too much to where I can't do it part-time either. So I have to pick and choose sort of like bigger projects. And every time I do edit someone's thing or solve any kind of problems or do any research, I like condense it all to certain files. And it's slowly building into a business because I have so much data on stuff that I now just uploaded into ebooks and I have a course and all this stuff. But it all started just because I had demand to where people were asking me questions to be like, hey, what kind of publisher works for this kind of thing? It kind of in the same sense that you fine tune what book award or like award programs for certain books.
Yeah.
I do the same thing in a more broad sense of people that are just looking for, should I self-publish? Should I find a traditional publisher? And if I go through a traditional publisher, who should I be looking for? And I have something that's a manga style, but I speak English and I don't know who I should actually go for, what markets to tap, because this is ultimately an international thing. And uh, that's what's really interesting about this world, and I consider you a part of it in it, is that once you are sort of a creator in any sense, you sort of own your own empire, your own IP, your own business owner, and it can branch into certain things, and we're all in each other's worlds. And every creator is sort of not a competition against you. We all try to help build each other up, especially since it's just like film, to where you might finish one project and then you collaborate with somebody that's done another one. And just because you have a book that's in the same genre as somebody else, that actually can work to your benefit. In fact, I encourage people to be like, tell people that your book is the same, it's One Piece meets The Haunting of Hill House or whatever. Like, because people recognize those big brands. And since once you're in the industry, you have something out there, you're sort of on the same level of playing field. And just because someone has made some kind of huge, gigantic IP that you think everybody knows, you can still sometimes collaborate with those people, especially in the comic book realm. There's some that's obviously just out of the realm, Harry Potter, but a lot of the stuff in comic books, there's nobody that's like super just like A-list to where like they're an untouchable celebrity. It's kind of like as long as you have the quality of writing or artistic talent, you can pretty much collaborate with anybody in this world. Um, I don't know
I
where I was going with that.
No, no, no. I really think so. Collaboration is one of those things that just really amplifies your efforts, especially when it comes to book marketing. Something that we've seen even graphic novelists do this too. When you win an award, one effective thing that you can do is contact the award winners in your category. So say that there's 5 award winners, and you could get together and do something like a panel. Like, what does it take to be an award-winning graphic novelist? Or more probably better for readers. I'm interested in that because I love awards, but
That's a
maybe
good idea. I didn't even think of that.
something that your readers may like is, begin with the news that you all won this award, but use it as an opportunity basically for a speaking engagement in a way that you can connect with your audience. Something that we actually have at Book Award Pro is this concept of story marketing. And this is finding tools and ways to share your existing news. So when you receive a positive review, when you win an award, when you submit for an award, that's interesting news to a reader. You may not think so, just kind of going about your day-to-day life as an author, but your readers are interested in that news. So the concept of story marketing is take that news, use technology, use social media as a channel to share that message with your readers. Help
Can
them connect with your work.
if you don't mind, as much as you're willing to give us, break down what. Imagine me starting from I posted my book onto your website.
Okay.
What is it that you now think if I were to utilize all the kind of best practices to utilize your tool to the full potential as a marketing service and as myself as an author to kind of grow my audience, so to speak. What is it that I should be doing? And not just with your tools, but it's kind of like a lot of people, including myself, even though I'm still growing this or consider myself an expert, what is it that I should be doing? So it's like, let's just say step one, I uploaded the book and I've submitted to one award. Then
Okay.
what are kind of the next steps all the way to maybe winning one? Like, is it more than just posting on social media? Like you said, I should maybe, once I win, reach out to other people. But what are kind of all the steps that I could take to where I reach the full potential, like I was saying, I guess.
This is a great question. By the way, so Book Award Pro is not a marketing platform, but something that we firmly believe is creating tools to help authors achieve their goals. So you upload your book to the platform and you, Max, say that you submitted to an award. One thing that you could do is open the story marketing feature just directly within the Book Award Pro app. And that will show you, and it'll link to your book cover, and a just a short, enticing message that you could share on social media. We have authors share that message in even in newsletters just to kind of keep their fans, keep their readers engaged. And what does that message look like? Our system will actually auto generate a message based on your recent activity. So you just submitted for an award. Our system may come up with something like, I just submitted my book to this award. I'm really hoping for good news. And you can add on to that. You can shunt that directly to Facebook. There's all kinds of different ways you could do, or all different things you could do with that. But the first step is you submitted your book, go use the story marketing feature. Kind of start sharing that news and leveraging that to reach your readers. And then just keep following, if you're not on the pro plan, keep following your award progress. So actually look to see, is your book announced a finalist? Are there different stages of the award? What is there any news happening with the award other than just winning? So I'm trying to give you like all the nitty gritty. I get so excited about this. Um, do look for, of course, award-winning results. Like, what do you do once you win an award? One really effective thing that you can do that we just talked about is that author collaboration. You can get in touch with other award winners, even just through their author websites. Just politely introduce yourself. Let them know that you are also a fellow winner of that award, and maybe give them your contact information and say, I'd love to collaborate. Maybe we could do a YouTube video together sometime, or cross promote our books together. So you have that opportunity to collaborate. You can also get in touch with the award organizer and ask, is there anything else I can do with this? Or how do you guys promote and market my book? Because many award programs will share your book just, over the course of the year, share your book on social media. Maybe they also have their own newsletter. There's all different ways that awards are finding ways to share your book with readers. And another thing that you can do, just that's within your own hands, you can always update your book cover, put your award seal on there. Always update anywhere your book is sold. So Amazon, of course, is a huge one. Anywhere your book is sold, update your author bio. You're an award-winning author. Update your book description it's an award-winning graphic novel. There's even a section in Amazon called A plus content. You can link to your award and put your fancy award seal there and make a really nice graphic that goes in that section that's really appealing to readers. So those are ways that you can actually kind of up the ante on your book description, your Amazon presence, anywhere your book is sold, really just making it nice and polished and professional. One of my last tips on this, which I absolutely love, one of my kind of secret tips is actually put award-winning author in your email signature. It sounds kind of silly, but we actually have authors tell us all the time that when they put that information, put award-winning author of and link to your book, they see an increase in book sales, and they also see an increase in collaborations because people they read your email, they read your email signature. It's interesting, and that award-winning success is supposed to spark interest. It's supposed to, build your credibility. That's another way that you can continue to make connections.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. I guess aside from just like the logistics of your site, what are really just the general benefits of getting editorial reviews? Like let's just say So I actually, in my example, I have books that are through publishers. So I don't have control over what's on Amazon. The
Okay.
publisher has control over that. So I can't like adjust, so to speak, like I don't know who reviews it or whatever, or even who people are buying it from, because it's usually the stores are usually the ones that are selling it through Amazon, and even my publisher might not have access to that. But I'm just wondering, like, well, let's just say I went through and sort of paid for someone to do a professional editorial.
Yeah.
What do where do I then go with that? Or like, or do the people giving the reviews sort of have the answers? Like, do they know where they're going to review it on, or do you, or am I the one who sort of tells them, can you do the review on Goodreads or whatever? Like, where is it actually? Do you find the most beneficial to authors, and how many do you think you really need to where it makes a difference?
Oh, that's a fabulous questions, Max. So I'll split this up. Editorial reviews and reader reviews serve two different purposes. So when I say reader reviews, you're thinking, most people would think Amazon, like a five-star review on Amazon, or leaving a review on Goodreads. We'll call those reader reviews, and those are left by people who are reading your book. The casual browser who purchased your book left a review on Amazon. There are book bloggers, lots and lots of thousands of book reviewers where you can submit your book for consideration, and they will give you a professional analysis of your book and leave a professional review of your book in certain places. So those are reader reviews. The concept of editorial reviews serve a different purpose. Editorial reviews, publishers really like that. It shows that you are getting professional credibility for your work. It's almost like editorial reviews make the book world happy. So distributors, editorial reviews can be used to increase your distribution, get your book into libraries, it makes it easier to sell to literary type people, if that makes sense. And with editorial reviews, you can still add those, or your publisher would be able to add those to your Amazon page. You can use them on your book cover. You can even take snippets take snippets of that editorial review and use them as quotes wherever you like. So there's lots and lots of different ways to leverage reader reviews, editorial reviews. My answer is that if you can have a balance of both, there's no perfect number for anyone, but if you have some reader reviews and some editorial reviews, then that can kind of open up opportunities for you and you can see what works best for your book.
Gotcha. Yeah, and in my world, I distinguish I kind of call what you like the professional editorial reviews that are for the retailers and things like that. I call those the commentators in our space. In our space, there's like the press, I guess you could speak, which sometimes the press is just people on Twitter, but they still give professional reviews that a lot of people care about. And then readers are people that are actually just reading it for enjoyment, and but they both matter equally, like you said, depending on like it's kind of like, yeah, there's really more to your audience than just people reading your book that people forget about. It's kind of like you're actually writing your book for other authors. You're writing for your book for the press. You're writing, your book to impress the retailers. And then finally, the last person really that you're writing for is the person that actually buys your book and reads it just for fun. But there's a whole nother, you have to impress the other layers first in order for them to actually get it in their hands. Um,
Beautifully
let,
said. It's almost like reader reviews help provide social proof for your book, and editorial reviews are professional reviews. They add professionalism to your author brand.
yeah, I get that is, I, That's leads me to my next question. Sort of, I'm not even sure what the question is, but it's basically like I find myself in a sort of weird world to where I've both self-published books and I have traditionally published books. And I actually find right now that there's more people that are teaching the best ways to self-publish. And there's almost so many people that are so successful self-publishing that those that are kind of beginners in the traditionally published space, we don't know what to do because whenever you're self-publishing, You take everything on yourself. So there's a lot of people that have done all the research, and you know that you're doing everything yourself. So you might go step by step by step to figure out what you are supposed to do. Whereas then there's other us others that basically got accepted by a publisher, and we kind of initially expected them to do everything for us,
Yeah.
so to speak, as far as selling the book or getting people to read it. Um, and once we realize that that's not true, then we don't really know where to look, and sort of a lot is out of our control. And I'm just wondering, like, where do you see sort of Book Awards Pro, or from the perspective of people that are traditionally published? Do you have any insight for those of us that are trying to sort of grow our audience from in that perspective and not just like self-publishing?
Absolutely. And we actually work with authors who are traditionally published, independently published, self published, even authors who haven't quite published their first books yet. We kind of span the gamut. So if you're finding yourself in the shoes of you're working with a traditional publisher and you're kind of surprised that they're not doing the marketing efforts for you, which is very, very common, one of my best tips that I like to share with authors is that you are the best ambassador for your story. Nobody knows your book the way that you do, and only you can share your story the way that you know it. So, when I talk about that concept of story marketing, that is you as the author sharing news about your book in a way that's going to resonate with your readers. So, Max, you know, any kind of interesting thing that you did over the course of your day today, maybe you started planning one of your next books. Um, Even that could be incorporated into story marketing. Share stories, just small snippets with your readers. Help them see you as a person. That's so cool. Is to readers, you're kind of a celebrity. They don't know what it's like to be an author. They don't know what your day looks like. And when you share those stories, it's just very approachable and helps you build a better brand, a more understandable, more relatable brand with your readers. So, from an awards and reviews perspective, of course, you can incorporate awards and reviews into your story marketing. You can tell your audience when you submitted to an award, when you won an award, when you got a glowing review, when you got a glowing 5-star review. There's different ways to use that. But at the end of the day, always remember that as the author, you have the power to connect with your readers in the voice and the way that you choose. And in doing that, we actually have authors tell us that their marketing efforts are so much more impactful than any service that they hired when they kind of found their stride, when they figured out the process that worked best for them, because their voice really resonated with their readers. Also, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Nobody has it perfectly figured out. You'll find the things that you enjoy sharing, the things that you see an increase in readership from. You'll find your way. Don't worry about getting it perfect on the first shot.
Yeah, that reminds me that essentially what you and I are doing is we're just being authentic, and we just kind of found our way, so to speak. And I feel like that's actually what we're all trying to find, like the magic secret sauce to just fill in the blanks, and it'll be good. But it doesn't work like that. The only thing that ever actually works is just find out what makes you unique. And you figured yours out doing the Book Awards Pro thing. And that remind, are you a writer yourself? Are you a creator at all?
So I'm not a published author, but I do, in my spare time, I actually do enjoy writing. I love language, playing with words. It's just beautiful. I love it.
Nice. Okay, yeah. So, that I I just in this interview I just thought of something, and I was like, how maybe you're already doing this, but okay. So in my example, I've written horror books, I've written sci-fi books, I've written very sub genre books that you can narrow down to very specific things. Like I've written supernatural romance. I've written, like werewolf horror, or like and I've all whenever we're trying to reach our audience, we're trying to find Where are those people who read those books going? What websites do they go to? What groups are they part of? Do you have a kind of a list, or do you know somewhere where it's like they have that, almost like the way you do it with awards, to where if I upload it, you can be like, here's the communities you should be a part of. Because if you're not doing that, maybe I'm gonna try to do that.
So what's actually really interesting, I love just like very unique genres. There are awards and reviews, no matter what you write, how you write it, when you wrote it, no matter what genre you write, there are accolades for you. So for example, like you said, supernatural romance, there are awards that specifically would recognize supernatural romance and say that you submit to that award in that category. Those readers, the judges who are reading your book, those are supernatural romance readers. That's a way of getting your book connected to a community that's interested in that really niche genre. And then, of course, when you win, when you get involved with that award, they are sharing your book with also with reading communities. So I say all of that because awards and reviews too, for reviewers who are specifically looking for certain types of books, when you share your book with them, somebody is on the other side still reading your book, and people are humans, and humans like to share. So it's not uncommon that we have heard authors say that when they win an award, that maybe a judge reached out to them and said, "Hey, could I actually tell my book club about your book, and maybe you could come speak to us sometime, and could you send us a link to your book on Amazon?" And you just may be very surprised where those communities are living, so to speak. And the more ways that you can present your book, the more ways that you can reach readers, you will continue to find those groups who are really interested in that.
No, okay, nice. It's kind of like it all stems from these award programs. They have the answers. Um, do
And
you
to back up from that, because that is very true of awards, but the more ways that you can share your book with the world, just in general, in trying to get reviews and just putting yourself out there on social media, the more people you reach, the more people who are finding out about your work, you will discover those niche reading groups because they're also looking for your books too.
Oh yeah, I don't think you know this because I didn't tell you, and I haven't released a book yet. But I wrote a nonfiction book called "Indie Comic Empire: Making and Marketing Comic Books," and I actually included a section that is about going to awards, or kind of the benefit of utilizing award programs to as a marketing tool. And I include your software, your platform in it as an example of how to do that, which is actually why I'm here today talking to you. Uh,
Oh,
I
thank you.
totally forgot about that. But yeah,
Thank
that's a whole sex
you.
chapter in my book, is like the importance of, basically, that's one of the ways to get them out there. One of the key ways is it builds A, credibility, and B, it gives you an excuse to talk about your book. Because essentially all you're doing, once you've, it's what I call the section of the chapter post launch. So everybody, once we have a book that's out, you've done all this work. You've done, and you're burnt out, and you're just like, now what do I do? It's not over, or you don't want it to be over. How do I continue to increase the hype about my book? And it's like the award programs is one of them. Is it's basically like you basically just the act of submitting and getting nominated is a reason to talk about it, because it's like I'm at least letting people know that this is something I'm going for. Some award programs need audience support, or like that's based upon the merit of how many people vote for you. So that's, even if that's not involved, it's still, excuse to get people to read what you're posting about. So you're not just posting your cover every day going, buy it, buy it, buy it. It's like there's an event that's happening. And I even encourage people, it's like, make a trailer for your book after it's released, and then hype that, and then release it, like you said, with a new cover with the book, the award that you've won, and now it's an exclusive cover. That's actually where comic books differ from the traditional book market, is that we are actually more of a collectibles industry more than we are a reader program. A lot of the, almost 50%, I believe, or close to it, of the people that are buying comic books treat them like trading cards, like collectible items that They might read it, but a lot of them they just go into a box and they sit there and they try to resell it at a later price. If that series or that creator in some sense gets more popular. So there's always a reason to make a new cover or hype it up again, and make it a very limited print run. If you only print 50 copies of a comic book, and then that sometimes can make more money selling them at $15 because they're exclusive and rare than it would be printing 400 and trying to sell them at $4.
That is a fantastic tip. I like almost creating special editions using that same, that book news, not only to have an authentic way to reach people, whether they're collectors or readers, but also releasing a special edition of what you're working on. That is a fabulous idea.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's the whole how the whole comic thing functions. It's a wild industry. Which is do you go to any like comic cons or any author conventions? Do you set up as a booth and be your own thing at all to anything like that?
Yeah, I do enjoy attending conferences, but Book Award Pro hasn't had a booth just yet.
I suggest you do it. Like there's there's conventions for everything from every kind of genre thing to not and comic cons are not just comics. In fact, most they're separated out into some there's just indie house publisher conventions, and there's huge events all over every city, and so many people show up to them, and they might mainly be there just to buy a Funko Pop for their favorite, thing, or they might be there to literally buy trading cards, or tabletop board games are huge. Just the nerd community in general might go to these things, but they will always stop. And a lot of the people that go there are wannabe creators themselves, in some sense, authors or artists. And they will, and yeah, it's just I don't know. If you're ever considering it, I would consider it like actually trying to go to some kind of convention, even if it's not a Comic Con, something similar.
I'm curious for you, Max. Have you ever done like a book signing or something at like an arcade or one of those really cool places where you can just like lay out a board game? Have you ever done that kind of thing? That would be really, really cool to see.
I've done I've done signings, but never at a really cool place. Well, I guess you could say I did a signing at New York Comic Con, and that was
Oh,
a really cool place. But and I've done signings at local comic book shops. But that's actually another thing that I get into in like my books and courses is that every town, city, whatever, uh, local authors are sort of treated as local businesses.
yes.
And local businesses, just like book award programs, or they, if I want a book award and there's a local bookstore, I can use my award to then reach out to them and be like, I just won this award. Do you want to do a signing? And they can use me as a local author that just won an award as an excuse for them to have an event with this local author that has a big deal. Even though in our little world, it's not that big of a deal, but we can hype it up as if it's bigger than it might. Not necessarily like not to downplay it, but it's just like whenever you're in this, you're kind of back and forth being like, should I do this? And it's like, yeah, because in the local world, the community world, every excuse to talk about yourself or bring people to your business is a reason to do that. And it can and anyway, so yeah, signings locally, I do all the time.
For sure. And you know what? That local audience may be some of your most engaged fan base because it's so relevant. Everyone kind of loves a hometown hero. So there's nothing wrong. In fact, we also see authors have a lot of success with sharing when they win an award, sharing that with your local newspaper, even like local magazines will do an article about you, about your book. And that's not only really good practice for you, but just a really authentic way to connect with readers and just kind of grow that fan base. Every bit counts. Every bit absolutely counts.
Yeah, that's really all it is. It's like you use every little thing that you can as a reason to, hype yourself up as a big deal.
And yeah, I will say sometimes authors have a hard time to sharing. Um, it feels almost like they're a walking billboard, right? And you don't have to, like you'd said, Max, you don't have to go around just kind of plastering your social media with your book cover. It's about finding ways to share news, share stories, find different ways to connect with your audience. It's not so much about, if the concept of self promotion bothers you, think of it as kind of, it's just sharing an event. And if self promotion doesn't bother you, then keep going down your path because there's lots of really good ways to use that too.
Yeah, it's just like storytelling. You're marketing yourself as an author is storytelling. And this is actually why I'm trying to like get more personal about you because most people we care about each other as people, or we're like hyped up about this person and their rise in their career and what they're doing, and less about this. There's like a term I learned in college, gestalt. Like it's less about the steps to get there and more about the sum of the whole. Like we're attracted more to the emotional aspects of each other than we are to the very specifics of whatever it is that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So same when you post on social media, it's like I'm telling a story. I'm not just saying, here's my thing, buy it. I'm saying, guys, friends, I finally did it. I won the thing I was trying to do. And then people are like, yay. And then that excitement has us more intrigued to actually look at what we're talking about, as opposed to if I just said, guys, my book's for sale on this website, people will be less interested.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put.
Thank you. Um, I think I've ran through about the main things I was having for you. Um, and I kind of just want to end on like, so what's your next steps with Book Award Pro? Where do you see yourself as a business owner in a few years, and where do you see Book Award Pro going next? How are you expanding?
So something that's been really exciting for me to see over the years was really the growth of technology and how you can use technology for good. So I know at Book Award Pro, our trajectory is to find ways to actually leverage technology to make authors' lives easier. So I'm not sure exactly what that looks like in this moment, but I do know that that will mean new tools, new ways that you can interact with your Book Award Pro dashboard. What can you do with that information? How can it serve you best? What do, for example, a really interesting feature that's coming up is being able to um, better understand the value. What are you getting from this accolade? And being able to see things like that. Just,
Yes, that's actually something I wanted to say or suggest if you want to take my critique. Not was yeah, that exact thing was I was wanting to know almost like a rating system of just like I also produce feature films and one of the things whenever you're trying to figure out which film festivals to submit to, yeah, you're trying to figure out, like you said, is what am I getting from this? Let's say I do win. Let's say I don't win. Like what's so we can sort of weigh our options and like sort of see how prestigious is this award? How many people win? How many whatever it is, how far away it is. Is it a big deal if I can't, I might win, but can't arrive at the award ceremony? Is that a big deal? Or is it something to where like if you win and I don't go to the live ceremony, I'd be kind of frowned upon? Though I don't know how you'd do that.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, that would be an awesome feature.
I love that. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, we're always looking for ways to show you information that's the most useful, helping you understand what's the value that you're getting. Because every accolade in our system, we heavily research it, we monitor it, and we're looking for ways to always, you know, share things, share things to make your life easier. So that's kind of the path of Book Award Pro. And it's truly just a joy to serve authors, to find different ways that accolades accolades are always changing to improve. That's been something that is a joy to me. That over time, book awards, book reviews are actively improving. They listen to authors too, and they want to increase their value. They want to do better. And our work at Book Award Pro, trying to wrangle all of that information and deliver it in as concise and helpful and valuable way as possible, that's our goal.
Nice. Do you have any like insight on where you see AI going in the future?
Oh gosh, you know what? I don't think that anybody can say for sure, but something, so I have no idea. But
I
I
mean,
will.
since you sort of utilize AI, I was just wondering, like, maybe you're just like, it's kind of crazy how like wild it's getting. Like, you can just say to your computer, awards now, and all of a sudden, just it can read your Facebook likes or something like that, and it's just, I
Oh,
don't know.
when we talk about technology, we take technology very seriously at Book Award Pro. And something that, has been recent conversation in the last year, just in the book publishing industry, is generative AI. That's a whole different kind of AI. At Book Award Pro, we're not using generative AI. We're building our own algorithms, our own systems. Basically, what will show you the most valuable awards, the most valuable opportunities to uplift you as an author.
Oh, yeah,
So
okay. I get you. Yours is not the AI that's like you said, generative AI, where it's almost like truly artificial. You input something and it solves it. Yours is more like just automated responses in a way.
well, so our system, and again, I'm not the technology expertise to be
I don't
speaking.
actually know what I'm talking about either. I'm
Oh,
just
no, no. Well, I do know that AI is it's a very broad term. And so that umbrella covers generative AI, like that's been really trendy in topics. But AI and technology can be used for good. That's real people developing technology systems to make your life easier and better and improved. I get so excited about that because it doesn't have to be challenging. It can be very approachable. And you can design something I've learned from my team is you can design technology in a way that not only does good, but feels good too. And I'm so excited about that.
that as a writer, there's a term that people call protopia. I don't have you ever heard of that where it's like it's basically so there's I tend to go down the path of dystopia where we write books about the future where it's scary and insane and AI takes over the world. But there's new forms, not necessarily new, but there's a lesser known form of writing or genre, so to speak, where it's the opposite, where it's basically stories that showcase a future where the technology is actually benefiting society, and it's almost just like a positive sci-fi. Where
Yeah.
so many people just view cyberpunk or just like kind of the dark side of technology and how, and that's where most of the big hits are. But there's actually a big genre where people are trying to encourage. Basically, there's authors that are trying to start a movement of people being like, write more protopia. Stop writing about technology killing everybody. Like a lot of this is actually good for the world. Start telling stories. You can still have conflict in a world where we don't have disease, Like it doesn't mean just because people are developing crazy stuff that it's all gonna, anyway. I could
I
talk forever.
No, I learned Protopia here. I'm a huge fan because technology can be used for good. It's designed by people. You can have a good heart and build something with good intent that still accomplishes something really great. It doesn't have to be scary. I love Protopia. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
look it up.
I will. I actually am very excited about that.
Nice. Well, thanks a lot, Hannah. This has been awesome. Is there any last words you want to give, or anything you wish I would have asked, or anything else you want to promote, or anything like that?
Well, Max, thank you so much for having me on. You asked really terrific questions. I would say that something something most authors are surprised by is that awards and reviews don't just happen to you magically. Most people think they just kind of happen out of the blue. Your book is kind of randomly selected for something, but that's actually not the case. There's a process you need to pursue to get awards, to get reviews, to get accolades for your book. So that's just kind of an interesting tip that most authors don't know. But other than that, you've asked really great questions. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even realize to phrase it that way. Like, yeah, I originally thought that, yeah, you just sort of, your book was out there and then like all of a sudden, like, I can't wait for somebody important to give me like praise in some way, shape, or form. And it's like, no, you have to reach out. You have to basically have press releases written for people, and you have to get a little bit of momentum going just so that enough people will be like, it's crazy. There's whole layers. You basically need, it's just like popularity in high school or something. It's kind of like if one cool person says, I think that guy's kind of cool, all of a sudden everybody else starts to look that direction. And then if enough people start to be like, yeah, that guy's pretty cool. Oh yeah, yeah. Did you see so and so said that guy's actually really cool? And then everybody's like, and so all said this guy is amazing. And then all of a sudden, now everyone in the school is like, yeah, yeah, that guy's he's a cool guy. Everybody says so. But it's like you had to get one person to look your direction and first. It wasn't just like you had to sing a good song or whatever, I don't know, to where at least one person said you're cool.
That's
Anyway,
a great tip. I think you're on to something here that's really important, building that momentum. And when you're first starting out, you don't have any momentum. You have to
yeah,
create.
you got
That's really
zero.
hard to do at first. Um, so you'll find your way in time. A lot of authors are using awards and reviews kind of as a way to get that momentum going. There's lots of ways to do it, and no matter what journey you take, you'll find your way. Just keep working at it.
Great closing words. Thanks a lot.